All right, all right, all right. So today is Friday, June 21st. What I'm gonna start doing is every Monday, I'm going to do a live talk sometime in the evening, maybe around 7 or 8 o'clock. Um, Today I'll just kind of be touching on the subject of why businesses fail and some ways to prevent it. And this is just sort of impromptu. I hadn't really put together a precise and concise presentation for this occasion. It's just something that I'm interested in because, excuse me, there's a lot of people I talk to on a daily basis, and some of them are aspiring entrepreneurs, some of them are entrepreneurs and business owners, some are employees, some are in between. You know, they got a job and they got a little hustle on the side that makes them money. So the inspiration was just I think I keep it 100 with you. Growing up, I've always been an entrepreneur. Um, I started my first business when I was 12 or 13 years old. When I was in high school, around 15, 16, I had two jobs. I had three jobs actually. So, um, I've always, been able to create revenue, but I wasn't sure of what my passion was at that time when I was young. It was more so about things that I wanted. So I would just find ways to get those things. Fast forward, now I'm 30, 31. And those same endeavors I would pursue aren't as valuable now because nowadays things are a lot more accessible. So, like when I used to sell movies or media, people can get those things damn near for free now. So that business model doesn't work. And so I had to adapt with the times. Now I'm more focused on financing, learning how to get funding for businesses, helping people to create additional revenue streams. But for me, it's more about generational wealth. That's what's been lacking, at least in my neck of the woods. In my life, that's something that's lacking. It isn't passed down. You know, it's a lot of times we're taught to be very, to stay focused on paying our bills and taking care of our responsibilities. And I believe a lot of us we don't pursue our dreams and things that we really want because of that. And so, what I want to do is just utilize this opportunity to um to discuss some of those things. First and foremost, my name is John. um, I think a lot of people probably know me as a music producer. That's what I did for a large portion of, I say, my 20s. But not a lot of people know about my entrepreneurial life. It's sort of been in the background. I don't really discuss it. I don't really share it as much. But I figured I might as well change that. I might as well start to actually share some of these things that I've been involved with, and you know, hopefully we can we can all find a way to improve together. Because I don't believe in being the person that has all the knowledge and not keep it in the stronghold. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I understand every aspect of business. I'm not gonna say that, or give the impression that I've just been winning nonstop. I've taken a lot of losses. Um, you know, because the thing is, depending on what it is that you do, you're gonna have ups and downs. You're gonna go through a lot of hard times. You're gonna meet a lot of obstacles, just in life, just in general. The thing about being a business owner, and I'll briefly discuss the difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner um, in a second. But most people, I would say maybe I think it's about 74% of the population, world's population, are employees, meaning they work for a business or a company and they get paid either an hourly salary or a commission. Okay, that's an employee. That's the definition of an employee. All right, the definition of an entrepreneur is someone who works independently and receives money per transaction. Okay, so you can still work in a company and be an entrepreneur. You can be an independent contractor, for instance, or you could just be an entrepreneur, what they call, someone who makes um, a, a non, it could be salary based, it could be commission based, but you can negotiate how much you make. That's the benefit of being an entrepreneur. You basically, you have no ceiling on how much money you can make. Sort of a rough definition of entrepreneur. It's not the technical Oxford Dictionary term, but the difference between a entrepreneur and a business owner is that a business owner makes money without actually doing any day-to-day work. The reason that they make money is because they're able to structure the deals, they negotiate contracts, they have the client relationships. All right. They basically are the reason why the business is in business. Okay. They orchestrated everything, they put everything in place. Okay. They're the builders, they're the architects. So a lot of times, business owners will fill their business up with entrepreneurs. Okay. So you can't be a business owner without employees. Okay. All right. Huge misconception a lot of people have, and I'll get into that in a second. So, why businesses fail? Why businesses fail? How to prevent it? All right. The employee mindset. Most people are thinking about how much money they can get instead of how much value they can give. All right. So, this is probably the biggest, I would say, the biggest difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner. Because honestly, most entrepreneurs that I know and that I've studied, that I've been around, and just, I've had the experience of, you know, getting in contact with, they are hustlers. So their goal every day is to go out and kill the food that they eat. Technically speaking, I'm not saying they literally go out and kill animals or anything like that, unless that's what they are as an entrepreneur. But The difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner is that a business owner is in it for the long game. A lot of times, business owners will take a loss for years before they start to recoup. Okay, an entrepreneur, somebody who, or a solopreneur, somebody who's a specialist, meaning they make money based off of something that they do. It could be hair, it could be makeup, it could be a stylist, it could be an engineer, it could be a producer, designer, director, that kind of thing. Most of the time, their goal is to make money, you know, quickly as possible because they got bills, they got shit they got to take care of, they got a family to feed. So, you know, their income is solely produced on what they do. If you've ever heard of Robert Kiyosaki, then you probably heard of the quadrant. I think it's called the cash flow quadrant. I can't recall, but it's four squares. One square has an E for employee. Another one has what was it? I think it's an S. Then another one has a B. No, sorry. There's two E's. There's two E's. I think there's two E's. Yeah, I think there's one for employee. There's one for specialist, and there's one for entrepreneur. No, investor. Okay, that's what it was. Okay, so there's one. It's been a minute. It's been a minute, man. I'm trying to do this off memory. So there's four squares. One square has an E, and I should have put that shit up here, but I just thought of it right now. Anyway, there's an E for employee. There's an S for specialist. There's an I for investor. There's a B for business owner. Now, most people who call themselves entrepreneurs are really specialists. They specialize in one thing. They do one thing really well, whether it's art, whether it's hair, whether it's repair, like a mechanic or computers. The difference, if you look at that quadrant between a specialist or entrepreneur and a business owner, is that a business owner has employees that do those things inside the business, so they don't have to. So I put something up earlier where I talked about how every business owner has to give discounts, and there's people who disagree with me. And sure enough, the people who disagreed were specialists, okay, who are really good at doing one thing. And they can't give discounts because of the hard work that they do, which is understandable. You should be compensated. Just keep in mind that you're not a business owner. That's all. Just acknowledge you're an entrepreneur, and that's fine. But there's a difference, because as a business owner, let's say if I did hair, I would own a salon. I wouldn't need to do any hair. I would just need to fill that salon with clients and technicians. Then I can, have multiple salons. And so that way I don't work inside the salon. I'm not doing hair. I got somebody in there doing that. I got somebody in there on the maintenance side, making sure it's clean. That's a business owner. A business owner is taking care of the employees and the customers. All right. An entrepreneur is somebody who takes care of themselves, their family, and they provide a service or a product. Okay? There is a huge difference. Once people understand, or once whoever is listening, you get it, I'm sure. If you're an employee, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, if you're an entrepreneur, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're a business owner, nothing wrong with that. It's just a matter of knowing the difference. As a business owner, your goal is to give value. So as a business owner, you're not focused on how much money you can make per client. You're focused on how much authority you have in that industry. There's an overarching influence that you want. It's not by client. Okay, it's accumulative. So if you do good work with this person, even though you may not make a lot of money off this one person, word of mouth could lead you to have more opportunities. So what you really want, like I say, is authority. You want to be known as the best for what you do. And sometimes that requires you to give somebody a discount because everything is perceived value. Money in itself isn't inherent, it's intrinsic. It's the value that we place on it. So I mean, as a business owner, not like in the real, not in the functioning economic world, you can't go to a dealership with $5 and go buy a 2019 Bentley. You know, you can't go and get like a Hellcat with $10 and say, well, money is intrinsic. It's the value I place on it. Don't do that shit and say that I told you to do that. But as an entrepreneur, or excuse me, as an entrepreneur, as somebody who offers a product or service, you place the value on whatever it is that you sell based on what you believe it to be valued at. Okay? So sometimes we'll give things away because we know that as a business owner, what I give you today will lead to you coming back tomorrow. I can sell something for $10 and give it to you for $5 because I know that my work is good. You'll come back and you'll buy again. Okay, so I might make that sale one time with somebody and get that $10 and never see them again. But if I let that person know this is worth 10, but I'm gonna give it to you for 5, they're gonna say, well, damn, he looked out for me. You know, and I appreciate that. So they'll come back again. Now, they bought that one time for 5. They might buy it again for 5 again. All right. Where I could have made 20, but I made 10. And they might come back again and I could get 5. Or I could have made 30, but I made 15. So you see, you'll never, as a business owner, make the full withdrawal from each person. But what happens is things accumulate. And what'll happen is they'll bring somebody in. They'll let somebody know, like, hey, this person looked out for me. Could you look out for them too? Yeah, I got you. And so what you could do is you could say, well, look, I'm gonna charge them full price. I'm gonna charge them 10. I'll take 5, and then I'll give you 3. They're like, oh damn, well, good looking. So now they're gonna bring in more people. See, that's the difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner, because most entrepreneurs aren't thinking that way. Not saying they don't. I'm just saying from experience, I notice they don't think that way. And the ones that do think that way are usually business owners, or they're on their way to becoming business owners. You know, 85% of businesses fail in the first year because of lack of profits. So this is another reason why entrepreneurs want to get that money as quickly as possible. Bills, bills, bills. Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my automobile bills? Can you pay my telephone bills? You know, that's usually the mindset of an entrepreneur. Which, like I say, a lot of them are operating from an employee mindset. Because an employee, think about it like this. You probably have a job, right? You probably got a 9 to 5 or a 10 to 10, whatever, working 40 hours a week, part-time, maybe 20 hours a week. However it might be, you got hours per week. Those hours are predicated on how much money you make. So, or excuse me, the money that you make is predicated on those hours. So if you, whatever amount of hours you make per week, you multiply that by how much you get paid per hour, then you gotta, I forget the whole formula of how you find out how much you make after taxes, but there is a limit on how much money you can make as an employee. So most employees only do the bare minimum. They only do enough to, not get fired. And so I think that's really a huge problem. But that's a whole other subject. That's the reason why, service today is so bad, because people are getting paid shit. They're getting paid pennies, and they're expected to do so much. And, so anyway, profits are important. That is the lifeblood of a business. That's any business owner knows that. Any entrepreneur knows that. If you don't have the supplies to, if you don't have the money to get the supplies to provide the product or service to your client, then you're out of business. And you might be able to, borrow at some point, but then you have to pay that back. And depending on who you borrowed it from, you got to pay back interest. So debt is very familiar to entrepreneurs and business owners. Okay. But here's the thing. The reason why most businesses fail in that first year is because of the lack in profits. But the reason why they have a lack in profits is because they don't offer high ticket products or services. So, like, if we're going back to technicians, if we're going back to designers, those are usually, their clients are usually people that need something done that day, or in a few days. So, like, as a hair designer, you schedule an appointment, you come in, they work on the client for X amount of time. All right, and it's not predicated on how much time it takes, but the faster they get it done, the faster they can move on to the next project. The same goes with designers. The quicker I can finish this project and get paid, the sooner I can move on to the next. But you gotta think, there's only so many projects, so many clients you can work on per day. All right, so even though there's not an exact limit or a ceiling on how much you make, there is a perceived limit, because you're one person, you can only do so much in a given time. And so quantity is divided against quality. You can only do a certain amount with a certain amount of quality. You know what I mean? And that's the reason why businesses fail. It's not so much of the money, the money is coming in. It's just not coming in fast enough. So the bills that have to get paid usually outweigh the amount of money that comes in. The rate in which you make the money doesn't move faster than the amount that that goes out. And so the best remedy for that is to have high ticket offers. So if you offer a service, you gotta have $1,000 service that you offer. If you sell products, whatever products you sell, you have to have $1,000 product. So why do I say that? Because here's the thing: with high ticket offers, you can offer a discount, because it's, well, let me say this. Let me say this before I jump into the whole discount thing. If you have tiers to what you offer, then the person, whoever you're selling to, whatever product or service you're selling, people immediately see how much a difference it is in $1,000 product or service and $100 product or service. Okay, if I put two items that look exactly the same next to each other, and next to it I put the price tag of $100, and next to the other one I put $1,000, which one do you think people will buy? Okay, now do the same thing. Put the same products. Let's say it's a backpack. We're gonna put that two the identical backpacks on the table. We'll put them next to each other. On the left side, I'm gonna put $100 um, price tag. I'm gonna put $100 price tag on the left one, and then I'm gonna put a $10 price tag on the right one. Which one do you think people will buy? Most people will buy the $10 one, but the people who want something extravagant, something luxurious, people who are willing to get the experience of having something better will pay that $100. And the same thing goes for $1,000. You can have something that might look the same to most people, but when you put that price tag next to it, it changes the way that they look at it. It's not always about what that thing is. It's really more so about who the person is. Because I tell you, as a salesman, there's been times where I've been like, man, ain't nobody gonna buy this shit. It's too expensive. But I knew how affluent people think, and I knew that if I gave them the right story and I presented it in a way that would entice them and compel them emotionally, then there's a great chance that they would. And a lot of times people did. That's what happened when I was a social media manager. I just knew how to run ads. I would charge clients $1,000 per month. Now, mind you, it did cost me about 4 to 500 a month per client to manage those ads. So at the end of the day, I was probably making about 400 a month in profit. But I had at the time maybe I think about four clients, and so I was really making about 2 grand a month. All right, and my bills weren't crazy. Um, and I could have got more clients because it only took me about maybe an hour or two to per client to run ads per day, and then I would just have to check back every maybe 3 or 4 hours to see how the ads were doing. Kind of use testing A and B split testing to make sure that they were converting right. They were converting according to what our agreement was. Because each client had a different agreement. They had a different um, goal that they wanted to achieve. Basically, in order to achieve that goal, I had to experiment a lot of times. So I took losses. I was prepared to do that. I already knew in the door what it was going to require of me. I already knew that I wasn't going. If I charged a client $1,000, I wasn't going to make $1,000 in profit. I had pretty much in my mind said, "Hey, out of this 1,000, I'm probably taking away 200, and I'm cool with that." But that's the mindset of a business owner. My next objective should have been to position an employee so that all I had to do was acquire clients. But at the time, I was kind of thinking like an entrepreneur, meaning I wanted to keep all the money to myself, and it's not that difficult. So what ended up happening was it capsized because of some life, some life stuff, and so I had to abort. I had to give some people back their money, and I haven't been back since. This was maybe 2 years ago, 2000. No, 3 years ago, 2016. The last client I had was in 2017 in February. So if I wanted to, I could go back to doing it. Would I go back to doing it? I don't think I would. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't something that was, at the time though, it was new. There wasn't a whole lot of competition. A lot of people didn't know about this shit. I had a huge advantage. So at the time, it was ideal, but it's a little more difficult now because there's a lot more people in that space. Prices are a lot more competitive now, so you might be able to get $1,000 clients, but most of them will probably not go for 1,000 because they know they can get it for 500 off of Fiverr. So different time. Like I say, things change. You gotta adapt. So as a business owner, you have to have high ticket offers so that you can have higher margins and profit. You can't just operate as a specialist. You can't just do one thing and sacrifice your time for money because then you might as well just be an employee. All right. One of the reasons businesses fail is because of the lack in revenue, but also because of the lack in leadership and mentorship. So I've seen this pretty often where, you know, as a alpha male or alpha female, people feel like they don't need any help. They feel like they'll figure it out on their own. Um, they've got the hard work mentality and they can make it happen. When there's a will, there's a way, and all that. that's usually what leads to a lot of people's downfall, because that's ego, that's pride, and being vulnerable is a really important aspect of a business owner. Okay, like I say, there's a difference between being a business owner and being an entrepreneur, which I discussed earlier. But this is honestly a place where you start to see the difference between the two, because a lot of entrepreneurs will attend seminars, they'll read books, um, they'll attend conferences, and they'll get invited to meetings, so they'll network, but not for the efforts of finding a mentor. A lot of them are networking to get more clients or to collaborate. So they want to be the business owner, they want to be the boss, they want to make more money, more profit, but true growth and profit comes from growth, period. As an individual, the more that you grow, the more that you know. So no, I said that backwards. The more that you know, the more that you grow. So, you know, leadership and mentorship are such important pillars, because if you don't think about it like this, if you've been a artist for 10 years, okay, you've got 10 years of experience that you can pull from. But let's say you had a mentor who's had 40 years of experience as an artist. Just imagine how many leaps and bounds in knowledge and wisdom and experience you can make by having conversations with this person. Okay, super important. In business, you don't know what you don't know. I mean, really in life, you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of businesses fail because they can't anticipate some of the upcoming obstacles they'll face. So when it happens, it kind of catches them blindsided. A lot of the shit that entrepreneurs deal with, business owners deal with, it's just things that they knew were coming, but they just didn't know when, and they couldn't fully prepare for it, or it's things that they were just completely oblivious to. So when you have the right mentors, you can start to position yourself better. You can leverage yourself better. So let's say there's a turn in the market. Let's say we go through a recession. You already were, you already knew that day was coming, so you anticipate it and you bounce back from it faster than somebody who just gets trampled by it. All right. And leadership is important too, because the number one skill set you can have as an entrepreneur is the ability to sell. Okay. And most people don't want to be sold to. But the irony is that most people do want to buy. So, what that means is, I don't want you to tell me why this is good for me. Or, you know what I mean? I don't want you to tell me how great of a product or service this is. But I want you to help me envision myself using it so that I can have that emotional connection to it. It's like think about a car dealership. Think about somebody who's a car salesperson. They're not telling you about all the features that the car has. They just like, get in here, drive it around, and they wait for you to start asking questions. Oh well, how old is it? Who had it before me? What all did you do? Did you, is this upholstered? What was replaced? They start asking questions because now their mind is trying to, picture what it would be like to actually own this car. They start going through, they start closing themselves basically. So a leader is somebody who can paint the picture without um, being pushy or, you know, being too aggressive. It's really a passive, persistent thing when you're an entrepreneur. You kind of want to lead people. You're not pulling them, but you kind of put your hand behind their back and you kind of guide them in a direction. Okay, it's really about guidance. Leadership is just the ability to guide people in the right direction. Okay, so when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a business owner, when you can guide people in the right direction, it helps them understand how valuable you are to them because you take the time to answer all of their questions, to give as much as you possibly can. Most people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So that's an important aspect of leadership. The importance of a plan. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. This is important because having a great idea, having a great concept, even having a proven concept is only part of the equation. Another half of the equation is execution, how you move from point A to B, and from point B to C, and from point C to D, all the way up until the end of the alphabet. All right. Each point you move through requires a specific modality, and so you have to. You can think about it like this: if I ask you to cut a circle out of an apple, or cut, just basically cut all the skin off the apple. There's a lot of different ways that you can do that. But if you had to do that day in, day out, and the amount of money that you made was, it relied upon how many apples you cut within a given time, then you would probably find the fastest way to cut it. Okay? But what if the fastest way that you cut it left, it shaved off too much of the apple? And so not only do you get paid by how fast you cut the apples, but also how much the apples weigh. All those things would determine how you execute. And the same goes for whatever plan you have. Because if you have a plan, let's say for cutting the apples in a specific given time, and they all, they retain their initial weight. You only shaved off a small layer off the top, just enough to take the skin off. So you're not cutting it too much. There's still a nice weight. They look great. You did it quickly. Now the next thing is, what do you do with those apples? Well, let's say you're making apple pie, right? So I don't fucking know the steps for making apple pie. So let's say you gotta mash up the apples, right? So how you mash up the apples, how you take out the seeds, how you prepare the pies, how you package the pies, who you sell the pies to, because not everybody likes apple pie. So you gotta get the supplies, prepare you gotta get the supplies, go through the preparations, use the finished product, or package the finished product, put that finished product in front of potential clients, customers that want to buy what you want, or buy what you have. There's like 4 or 5 steps involved in that plan, and that's just making the pie. You know what I mean? That's just the steps of making the product. All right, there's a whole other process for selling. You have to go through acquisition, marketing, advertising. Once you do, then you probably have to go through negotiations, how much they're willing to pay, how much you're willing to take. Then, the refund policy. If it's not to their liking, what's the chances that they can return it and get their money back? And then you also have to stay in contact with that client. That's a very important. That's probably the biggest missing link for a lot of entrepreneurs, is retaining that relationship. Even after you sold them a product, you got to have a plan for how you'll stay in contact with them, how you'll build that relationship over time. Because you don't want a one-time client. You want people to be recurring clients. The only business where you can have a one-time client is, there's a lot of business actually. Now that I think about it, so Even like, let's say if you're a car dealer, there's cars that people will probably buy for retail. They'll just pay the full amount, but most people will pay a car note. Same goes for if you have a house. If you renting, a house or an apartment, they're paying a monthly fee. Most people pay monthly fees, so they have to stay in contact with they have to they stay the owner, or excuse me, the dealer or salesperson or representative, whoever is the person that's accruing that monthly revenue from that customer or client. They have no choice but to stay in contact with them. um, but if you're an entrepreneur and you sell a product or a service, and you sell um, apple pies, they don't have to come back to you the next month. Okay, they can buy that pie one time, and that's it. If they really like it, then they'll probably come back. But who's to say they will? So you have to have a way to stay in contact with them. That's why a plan is so important, because that way you know exactly what to do after you sell them the pie. You know how to stay in contact with them. You know how to build that relationship. You have an incentive for them. Hey, if you bring somebody else to buy a pie, I'll give you a kickback, or I'll just give you a slice on the house. However, you might work it out. If it works, then it works. But a plan is super important. If you have a business and you're just advertising on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, um, and once you get a client, you know, you do good work with them, they appreciate it, and you just, you go back to advertising on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The chances of you increasing your revenue are slim, because, for one, you got to know how Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter algorithms work. Okay, and you got to do more than just post, because there's only a small amount of people that see your post. You have to place ads. So you have to have a page on Facebook dedicated to whatever product or service you sell. And so not only do you post there as well and create ads, but you also should have a website, so that people who aren't on Facebook, or people who are just on Google searching for whatever product or service you sell, you'll pop up. Okay. And also, when people do purchase from you, whenever a client does purchase something from you, you want to have a way of building on top of that relationship, which you can do through email marketing. So when people go to your website, they can leave their email or their phone number, and that way you can send them out text messages or emails, letting them know if you have a new product that you want, that think they would love to come and check out. If you got some discounts. um, so having a plan of action, knowing how to acquire the clients, how to sell them the product or service in the most efficient way, and how to stay in contact with them, and build upon that, is super important. So leadership, teamwork, operational plan, and operating capital are the keys to success. In my opinion, when one of these are lacking, that's usually when somebody isn't getting a full return on investment. They're not meeting their highest potential in whatever it is that they do. It doesn't just have to be entrepreneurship. Really, this applies to life. Um, if you lack leadership or teamwork, then there's a chance that your work environment is shit, your home environment is shit, because as a leader, you understand how people think, you understand what motivates them and inspires them. So you know what to say to people. A lot of times people are in toxic environments at home and at work because they complain. They don't know how to shift and change things. So they just complain, hopefully somebody else to do it because they don't want to do it. They don't want to take that responsibility on. They want somebody else to take that responsibility. So a leader is somebody who says, okay, this isn't working. We need to find a better way to do this. Leaders do it in different ways. Okay. But teamwork is also important because you don't want to be the boss who's constantly volatile, constantly trying to make other people do it because people will resent you. They won't listen to you. They'll wait until you're not looking. Then they'll do the opposite of what you told them to do. So it's really important to, as a leader, also have a teamwork ethic. So if you tell them to do something, you have to be willing to do it too. Okay, you got to be willing to do it whether they do it or not. So let's say you give somebody a task, or let's say you work with a team and the team is given a task, but somebody's not fulfilling their end. You got to be willing to step up and take care of that part. All right. And if if you want to snitch on them, it's up to you. I'm not that, I don't advocate that shit to think that sucker shit. But there's been plenty of times where I had to step up and take on somebody else's task so that we could win. At work, at school, you got class projects that you got to do as a group. So I had all types of group assignments where a lot of times I was doing other people's work. You know what I mean? And a few times I let it slide. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was like, okay, it ain't a big deal. But there's a few times I got up and people ask, like, man, I had to do all of this, bro. You gonna have to help me out. You know what I'm saying? You got to throw me a few dollars or something. But yeah, it's everything usually works out better when you have leadership and teamwork qualities or characteristics. An operational plan, like I said before, is super important because if you know what to do in each situation, you won't get blindsided by as many unpredictables as most people do. Most people aren't prepared. Most people don't have money in the bank. They don't have an action plan or a plan B in case something happens at work or this business fails. A lot of times people end up dealing with health issues, so you got to take that into account. You may not be able to make money the same way that you did before. So there's a lot of things you got to take into account. So having operating capital is just as equally important as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. Even as an employee, you got to have enough money to get to work. You got to have enough money to eat and be able to take care of your necessities. So having all four of these qualities, when you combine them, helps you to live a much more prosperous life. Having a plan, having teamwork, having leadership, having capital, having cash, money in the bank, having assets, having things that generate income on the side, passive income or additional streams of income are super important. In today's age, you can't live off the job that you have. Most people work two jobs. Most people work two full-time jobs. Okay, working themselves to the bone just to have enough money to take care of their bills and have money on the side. So my goal is every week on Mondays to upload something that'll show you how to make money, an extra stream of income. I've been blessed, man, throughout my life to always be exposed to this type of stuff. I never really have been an employee. I think I'm a terrible employee, honestly, but I've always been a great business owner. I've always been a great entrepreneur. It's just my skill set. It's my strong suit. I work really well with others. I'm always able to position people in a better place, helping them to, you know, utilize their full potential. Most of the time in jobs, I just felt stifled. I felt like, most employers don't really want you to be, excuse me, most employers don't really care about what you want to do because there's things that have to get done. And me as a business owner, I care about all aspects. I care about what has to get done, and I care about what that person's potential is. So there's been a lot of people throughout my life that I've helped them to get in a position to make money. And, like I said, I've been blessed. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Like I say, Monday around 7:30, 8 o'clock, I'll be posting one of many. I want to do one a week, but if I'm able to put these presentations together and able to handle other shit on the side, I may do 2 a week. But definitely, for sure, I'm doing at least one upload a week starting Monday. This Monday, I'm doing a presentation on how to make money on Instagram. Actually, how to make $1,000 a month on Instagram. So I'm really excited about that. I hope you enjoyed. Like I say, I'll see you again soon. I'm out. Peace.